This story begins at a store called Kamami's secondhand bookstore. A girl chooses a book and asks its price from the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper answers by asking her how much she's willing to pay. The girl answers that she's willing to pay 3 months' worth of her salary. Hearing that, the guy opens a secret door and asks her to come inside. There, another man is sitting, reading a book. Seeing that a client has appeared, he quickly cleans the room and makes space for the client. After seeing him, the girl asks the shopkeeper who he is. When the shopkeeper answers that he's just a freeloader, Tora gets angry and reminds him that he's his partner. The shopkeeper doesn't care about him and asks him to go and watch the shop. But Tora refuses to go, saying he also wants to listen to their conversation. After some more bickering, they finally decide to hear what the client has to say. She starts by telling that the detective who takes care of her during a certain case tells her that if she can't endure it anymore, she should consult with someone in this bookstore. Then she starts her story. 7 years ago, she was a single mother who was looking after her son who just turned 1.5 years. She was just doing her daily work when someone rang the doorbell. She asked who it was and the person answered that he was a delivery man. After opening the door, she took the package and wondered who sent it. She checked the box, but it had no sender information on it. Right when she turned around to put down the box, the delivery man grabbed her from behind. The girl was about to shout for help, but the delivery guy showed her a knife, asking her to not make a fuss if she doesn't want to die. With no other choice, the girl had to obey. But then the worst happened. Her little son arrived there. While walking, he fell down and started crying. Annoyed, the guy grabbed the kid from his mouth, opened the window, and threw him out. The woman immediately ran to check on her son, saying they're on the 4th floor. But the delivery guy didn't let her. He pierced her stomach a little with a knife and then started doing his deed. He had his fun with the woman while she was bleeding. On that day, she narrowly escaped with her life, but her son died. Tora and Kamami are really angry after hearing her story. The woman continues, saying the semen left inside her body became the evidence and that guy was arrested. But on the same day, because he's a minor, he wasn't charged with a serious crime, and then last year, he was released. The woman is really angry because her child died, but that person is still living a carefree life. She says that what he did to her is unforgivable and asks Kamami to be the agent for her revenge. Hearing that, Kamami tells her that he's not doing this job to put food on his table. Whether to accept the job or not, it depends on his mood. Right then, Tora gets up and says to Kamami it doesn't matter what his mood is. He says that the Avengers for hire like them exist for people like her. Kamami says that this isn't the job they'd accept without any hesitation. They were about to bicker with each other further when the woman started talking. She says that she sees her child in her dreams every day. Her son keeps crying and whenever she desperately tries to reach him, she can't for some reason. With tears in her eyes, she says to Kamami that she's sure her son's still crying. At night, the man who did wrong with that woman was throwing out the trash. As he lit up his cigarette, Tora and Kamami appeared beside him. Without saying a word, Tora punches the guy in the face. The guy immediately takes out a knife to threaten them, but it's no use. Tora grabs his hand and forces him to throw away his knife. Then he moves his arm and a knife appears out of his sleeves. He uses that to inflict a large cut on the man's face, and as the man falls to the ground, he is about to finish him. Right then, Kamami stops him, asking him to go according to the plan. Hearing that, Tora angrily points at Kamami and asks him how he can still keep on being nonchalant about it. Tora asks him if he even listened to the client's story. Kamami answers that he's acting like this because he listened to the client's story. He says to Tora that he's being excessively empathic right now. While they were talking, the man slowly gets up while holding his face, that was dripping blood, and starts to run away. Seeing that, Tora says to Kamami that it doesn't matter. He says that he's only alive just to kill the kind of scum like that this man is. At that moment, when Tora turns around to follow the man, Kamami brings out a taser and tasers the guy. He immediately falls unconscious and then Kamami turns to Tora. He tells him that if he's just going to kill, then he's not Avenger, but a killer for hire. In the next scene, the man was tied up to the chair, completely naked. His face was still bleeding and his eyes had a big tape on them, blocking his sight. Tora and Kamami are also here. Kamami puts up gloves and has a table in front of him with a lot of different tools. Because the man starts to shout in panic, asking them who they are. Kamami picks up a cutter and moves toward him. Then, he holds his neck up a little and gives him a little cut. This cut severs his vocal cords and now the man can't make any noise. Kamami asks the man how it feels not being able to cry or scream for help. A van is also present in this room, and the woman is seeing everything from that van's window. After severing the man's vocal cords, Kamami uses a knife and slowly starts to cut man's balls. The man tries to shout in pain, but he can't. After cutting off his balls completely, Kamami holds them in his hands and tells the man that from today his production factory closes. The man suffers a lot, but can't do anything. At that moment, Tora questions Kamami why he took the man's balls. Tora says that the man will suffer and eventually die. He says that he was about to do the same thing. He says that they don't have to become scums themselves to be Avengers. Kamami just asks him to not question his way of doing things and goes back to dealing with the man. He asks him if he likes Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Kamami tells the man that he likes the Zuhao Dun, who's a Wei military commander. In one of his battlefields, Dun's eye got shot by an arrow. But he can't tolerate discarding the eye he got from his parents. So he ate his own eyeball. Saying that, he opens the man's mouth and tells him that to be a man, he should also do the same thing. As he says that, he forcefully put the balls that he just cut into the man's mouth. He asks the man to eat it up as it is a production factory that he got from his parents. Tora couldn't see the scene and immediately looked away. He assumes and says that the client's deceased child might be reminding Kamami of his daughter. He asks him who is being excessively empathic now. Instead of answering, Kamami walks toward Tora and grabs him from his face. Immediately, Tora also takes out the knife that is attached to his sleeves. Tora doesn't immediately attack, but decides to listen to what Kamami has to say. Kamami angrily tells him that it's fine if he wants to run his mouth. But he warns him to not talk anything about his daughter while he's doing his work. Saying that, Kamami drops Tora to the ground and goes to the man again. Right then, the woman walks out of the van and asks Kamami to stop. Kamami looks at her and reminds her that he asked her to not come out. The woman says that she wants to talk to the man, and Kamami lets her talk. Immediately, she grabs the man from her neck, asking why he killed her child. Hearing that, the man realizes who she is. The woman says that someone like him should just suffer and then die. The man tries to talk to her but can't. He moves his lip, trying to say that he's sorry and he regrets doing wrong to her. The woman couldn't understand what he's trying to say and fell to the ground. She starts to cry, saying that her child died, but he's still alive. At that moment, Kamami finally takes out a knife to end the job, but the woman stops him. She says that she just wanted to hear the words, "I've regretted it," from the man. She says to Kamami that even if he kills him, her child won't come back to her. As she says that, Kamami puts down the knife and says to the man to never ever show his face in front of her again. Seeing that, Tora is shocked and asks Kamami if he did all that torture to make the woman feel that way. Kamami doesn't answer and goes out with the woman. She tells him that even if it's little by little, she's thinking of moving forward so that someday, her child might stop crying. Saying that, she turns around and starts to walk away. From behind, Kamami tells her if the parents of the child are laughing, they might join in and laugh together as well. After driving some distance, Kamami stops the van and slowly unties the man. While he is doing that, the man realizes that he did something horribly to the lady. He decides to reflect on himself from the bottom of his heart and do some volunteer work and helping people. As Kamami takes off the bandage from the man's eyes, he angrily asks him if he really thought that he'll return home alive. He opens the van door and takes out the naked man. While walking toward the bridge, he questions what will happen if a person is hanged upside down for a long period of time. He answers himself that all of their blood and organs will come down to their head due to the effects of gravity. For the first 30 minutes, their eyeballs will fall off first. Next will be the internal organs passing through their throat. Before long, the organs will fly out of their mouth or nose. Explaining that, he says a scum that kills a defenseless baby is not someone that should be kept alive. Without hesitating, he tied the rope to the bridge and then pushed off the man. The next morning, two men were jogging down that same bridge and accidentally stepped on something. They thought it was someone's poop, but in reality, it was the man's organ. Meanwhile, Kamami is praying in front of the pictures of a woman and a little girl, most likely his late wife and daughter. While he is praying, Tora, sitting behind him, calls him a depressing man because he is burning an incense stick so early in the morning. Kamami doesn't look behind and says to Tora that he thought he was sleeping. Tora asks him to shut up and suggests he come with him for a drink. An old woman comes to the shop and asks for the price of a book. Kamami answers by asking her how much she's willing to pay. Grandma answers that she's willing to pay her 3 months of pension. Hearing that, Kamami opens the secret door and after bringing her in, asks her to tell them her case. She says that 5 years ago, her son and his wife passed away in an accident. Since then, she has been taking care of her grandchild, Hayato, who just entered middle school. One day, Hayato was walking to his classroom when a table came crashing down. Luckily, Hayato didn't get hit. The boy who threw it didn't try to hide himself. He was sitting near the window and apologized to Hayato, saying he just wanted to dry his table under the sun. Without anyone's help, Hayato had to bring back the table to his classroom, which is on the second floor. During the class, the same boy forced Hayato to say the name of the girl's private part loudly. With no other choice, Hayato got up and started saying it. The teacher asked him to sit down, but Hayato didn't listen and kept going. Right then, the bullies who forced Hayato to say the word asked him to sit down. They deliberately told him that they're in the middle of the classroom and asked him if he wanted to have fun with a girl so bad that he couldn't hold it. After the class, Hayato went to the teacher's office and told the teacher about bullying. There was an unknown woman in the office as well and asked the teacher if the boy was getting bullied. The teacher swung around his hand, saying to the woman that it's just a misunderstanding. He tried to change the topic, but Hayato talked again, begging the teacher to do something about the bullies. As the woman realized that the boy was really getting bullied in the teacher's classroom, the teacher got angry. He called Hayato separately in the conference room and said to him that he embarrassed him in front of that woman named Yoshi. He smashed his hand on the table, saying his reputation is completely ruined now. He asked Hayato why his reputation got ruined because of his fault. The teacher said to Hayato that he's making this bullying thing worse than it is. According to him, the reason is that the kids and their parents have some serious persecution complexes nowadays. Hearing that, Hayato looked the other side and said to the teacher, "Never mind then." Seeing his attitude, the teacher got angry and started hitting. He asked Hayato to bring his parents to the school if he had any problems or complaints. As he said that, the teacher realized that Hayato only has a grandma and mocked him for that. He even threatened Hayato by saying he would not let him take the entrance exams next year. In the end, Hayato was the one who had to say sorry. In the classroom during break, the bullies forced Hayato to take down his pants and start rubbing his pee-pee. Suddenly, a bully punched Hayato on the face, saying if he ever took a day off school, then in the middle of the night, he would go over to his house and would play baseball using his grandma's head instead of a ball. After school, when Hayato went home, he had dinner with his grandma. She apologized to Hayato for having few side dishes. The reason is the amount of side jobs that she does is decreasing. But she asked Hayato not to worry. She said that she would go through hell but make sure he would get into a good university. That night, Hayato cried a lot while writing something. In the morning, Grandma knocked on his door, asking to wake up. At that moment, she wasn't aware that her son is no more in this world. Hayato has written a letter with everything he went through. Grandma submitted that letter to the authorities and asked for justice, but in the end, nothing happened. The parents of the perpetrating students were saying that they're being emotionally scarred by the false accusations and that they're going to sue the grandma. The teacher reported that Hayato had a lot of problems and he wasn't a sane child. With this, her story concluded. The grandma says that no matter what she does, the predators never get arrested. Tora starts crying after hearing her story and asks her to leave everything to them. They will take revenge for her. That day, all three bullies were walking on the road while talking about Hayato who died because of them. They think that they're really awesome because they killed a human without touching a finger. At that moment, a van crashed into them. After catching the boys, they find the teacher and catch him as well. With that, the scene shifts and we see the same legendary room again. This time, there are 4 subjects. 3 students and a teacher, all tied up. While Kamami is getting ready, Tora asks him what he's going to do now. Tora tells him that the torture he used last time isn't allowed as it doesn't suit Tora's nature. Hearing that, Kamami asks Tora how he wants to do things. While Kamami and Tora are thinking what to do, the teacher opens up his mouth. He asks them what they're talking about. He said that he's a middle school teacher and it's going to be a big problem for the society if they do something bad to him. Kamami hears that and tells the teacher that he shouldn't be saying something stupid. He mentions that the things that all of them did is a much larger problem for the society. He tells the teacher that he's not being transparent with regards to bullying and outright pretends to not see it. As he stops near the teacher, he uses a lighter and starts burning the teacher's eye. The teacher shouts in pain which scares the bullies and shocks Tora. Kamami says that the eyeball of the teacher who doesn't see his students' problems isn't needed by the society. The students are really scared after seeing that and start apologizing desperately. Right then, Tora puts his hand on Kamami's shoulder and reminds him that these boys are just kids. Hearing that, Kamami just said, "So?" Tora asks him what he's trying to achieve by hurting a bunch of middle school kids. Kamami answers by reminding him that the boy who passed away was a kid too. When the kids hear Tora talking about them, They also start to plead, asking for a second chance. They say that they're minors and should be given a chance of rehabilitation. They say that they won't get cocky ever again. The students kept begging and apologizing, but Kamami didn't listen to them. At that moment, the teacher opens his mouth again. He says that he knows what they're doing is for the victim and for the betrayed family, but what they're doing completely ignores the law and is a criminal act. The teacher continues, saying to them that even if they say they're just or doing it for society, this kind of thing will never be morally forgiven. Kamami tells him that he's fine with it. He says that he's neither police nor the judge, nor the teacher nor the priest, nor the ally of justice. He's just an avenger for hire. Kamami walks toward the kids while saying that if they think everything is forgiven just because they're minors, then they're gravely mistaken. He asks them if they have ever heard of saying, "See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil." The next day, news reporter was reporting that within the grounds of the middle school where a suicide occurred due to bullying, for individuals, 3 students who they believe to be related to the case and a homeroom teacher, have been found lying on the ground. She says that all 4 of them aren't in any life-threatening condition, however, all of them had their eyeball burnt and their vocal cords as well as their ear canals cut off. They're now unable to see, speak, and listen. On a park bench, Tora was sitting, clenching his head, saying that by doing such things to middle school kids, he has scarred himself for life. Beside him, Kamami is standing who upon hearing that asks him to quit the job of his resolve is just this much. Tora immediately says that he will never quit. He has sweared on his life that he's gonna kill the scums of this world. But he will never be able to imitate Kamami's cold-bloodedness. And he doesn't plan to imitate it either. Suddenly, Kamami says that humans are weak. He says that no matter how much they resent or how much they want to kill the other party, they're unable to cross the line. Most of the humans are like that. And then they would have no choice but to go on living bearing the hatred and pain. For then, every day would be living in hell. That is why, Kamami and Tora, who have already crossed the line, will be their substitute in carrying it out. At that moment, Grandma arrives there and says thanks to both of them. When Kamami didn't say anything to her, Tora shouts, asking him to say something. Kamami says to Grandma that next time, she can come over to his shop and read some books.